A warm welcome to the session, Michelle. We were looking forward to having you. Uh, Thank you very much, first of all, for being here. It's and we know it's a very early morning in Washington D.C. this morning,
Yeah,
and a Saturday morning that too. So it's been very kind of you to accept an invite, which is
I'm
actually
happy.
overlapping your personal time off and a weekend. So
Yeah,
we are so looking forward to the topic because these are some things which we as agile practitioners, agile coaches, and transformation leaders, we come across this twin legacy. I will not steal much thunder on the topic because I want you to go through this topic in detail. So, a quick introduction to Michelle. Probably a lot of people must be following you on LinkedIn. I looked at your LinkedIn profile as well. He's passionate in triggering positive change and continuous improvement through technology powered lean processes, which you're going to see a lot of his expertise in the talk as well. Michel has been consulting for business tech customers through his company Drive Task. He's a regular lecturer. He gives regular lectures in leading universities and engineering schools, and he enjoys that a lot. Recently, he has been driving lean agile transformation for a leading payment provider and an international retailer. And the whole topic on twin legacy hurdles in lean agile transformation is based on his over a decade of experience in the same space. He has been in this lean agile transformation over a decade now, and he's going to give us a few examples, some of the challenges, some of the things that worked, and probably some of the things that don't work or didn't work for him. So I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting session. And Michelle believes in being very interactive, so he is going to give us a lot of space for question and answers. And I'm very sure that all of us already have questions even before the topic has started. For example, I already have 3 questions for myself after going through just the topic name. So I'm sure all of us have questions. So request you to use the Q&A window effectively, and I will be moderating your questions. Without wasting much time, I'll hand over to Michelle and over to you, Michelle, for the topic.
yeah, Padma, thank you. I'm very happy to be with you. I'm very happy for this invitation from Business Agility Meetup Bengaluru. Yeah, as you said, it's a subject that really I'm passionate about. So it's also I'm lucky to have it as my job. So I've been here for 10 years, and I would like to share with all the participants some things that I could come up as a framework, not as a solution, right? Because giving a solution in 45 minutes will be too pretentious, it's impossible, but rather a framework for us agilists to always think about when we are facing transformations. And it's a big word to say digital transformation. We'll be using at all sources today, but it's good to have like a helicopter view on all this. And I wanted to speak about only two, and this only may looks funny, type of resistance to change that I call them in a way hurdles or impediments. Okay, so I want to distinguish two families of those hurdles: organizational hurdles and technology hurdles. And the numbering of 1, 2 is not as in my whole 10 slide presentation, so don't worry, it's not bigger than a 10 slide. So 1, 2 numbering has always a meaning. So 1 is before 2, right? The organizational legacy is everything that you will find be related to people, process, and tools, whereas technology is somehow the inevitable change we're facing today, because technology, as in software development, as a software part component, is part of every business today. So when we are facing digital transformation, it's because we are aware today that technology and software component is within every business. It's not an IT business, it's every retail business, it's a taxi driver business, it's hotel renting business, is everywhere. So that's why we have job today as digital transformers to do this work. However, before speaking about the two, I would like to stress on the one, right, which is organizational legacy. When I mean legacy, it's like a heritage. We used to do something and now we want to transform. Why? How? Based on what concept? Let us look together. So on organizational legacy, the only way to face it, it's not the only way, but a good way to face it is to always think with Eric Rice's principle and concept about build, measure, learn. It might be a modern interpretation of the famous Schuhart PDCA cycle, but still it's easy to remember. So if I am able on every three components, and yes, I distinguish three components into the organizational legacy or the organizational hurdles. If we're able to put in place a build, measure, learn system in order to shift, to transform the organizational legacy, then it's a good, effective roadmap. However, you tell me you want to build, measure, learn based on what? Which matrix for our business agility, for our transformation in general? Well, let us look on again, zoom in on the organizational transformation. We could take out three subjects. One, and again, the numbering is important, is a mindset. Two is a process or the framework. And three is a tooling. What I would like to state is don't take me on the word if you see that I'm the fan of a tooling. I'm no fan of a tooling if one and two do not exist. Okay, it's impossible to have tooling if one and two. So again, the numbering is very important. One, the mindset, two, the process, and three, the tooling. And unfortunately, in 21st century, if we fail in the three, even if it's a three, we will not be sustainable to maintain, specifically in big organization where overhead becomes too big. So let us start with the one, the mindset. I did not invent it. Carol Dweck probably did. But the real metrics, according to recent research, for us to tend toward when we want to transform organization is a growth mindset, in opposition to a fixed mindset. So this is something very valuable if you have practices to try to measure how far are we from a growth mindset, to learn from our measurement and to build action in order to implement a transformation toward a growth mindset. We, I don't know you, but me and my colleagues, we often started with with the number two. We were mandated in our contract to do some agile transformation, to transform the process into agility. And we kind never had mandate empowerment bandwidths to start with the one. And this is where we failed. We failed, I failed. So this failure is not because I was a bad agilist. It's because organizations are not aware of this prerequisite, which is number one in here, which is the mindset. And probably it's not the easiest transformation. If we succeed in here, we increase our chance, or we keep our chance to have a successful transformation. If we fail, there's no chance to do. So the first, for the mindset, look toward a growth mindset. Once we have empowerment, authorization, um, awareness of doing this, we would like, of course, to go to our where more of our agility action takes place, which is on the framework, on the process. We want to break down old waterfalls model and change them into quick feedback. So what do I want to look when I do this? What do I measure? Because again, we're thinking about build, measure, learn. So what I can measure very effectively is incremental delivery of value. I don't want a long cycle. I want a quick learning. So I want to deliver value incrementally. So measuring this is a very good metric for us to see how are we doing this transformation? Are we succeeding? So we measure the incremental delivery of value, how frequent it is. Are we learning out of it? So this is second point into transform the process framework. Are we learning quickly? And are we updating the roadmap? So changeability of our roadmap is not something we're gonna fight. Of course, it's something we're gonna enable us to afford. How to do this? How to be enabled to change the roadmap as much as I can is, of course, by having this ability to learn quickly by delivering incremental value. So those three frequent metrics for transform process and framework compared to one metric conferred. Of course, there's sub-metrics inside the growth mindset, but it's not the subject of this presentation. There's a lot of documentation on Carol Dweck growth mindset, so I believe it's a good indication in here to say, let's shift to the growth mindset. Let's make growth mindset our metric to the build, measure, learn process to implement on the transform mindset, which is prerequisite to implement for the process transformation. The process transformation has basically three important metrics: incremental delivery of value, learning quickly, and updating consequently the roadmap. Now, if you notice, specifically on the two, if we don't do it in an automatic way using the right tool, we will never be able to do it in real time. So it will take a lot of overhead, probably departments and departments of PMOs working on this just to reporting to enable to learn quickly and to update roadmap frequently. So the right tool need not only to put in place whatever metrics are to maximize from 1 and 2, but also, and this is a slogan I love, to make reporting a dashboard and not an activity. We don't want anymore people to be paid to look for information. I mean, this was the 20th century. We're in the 21st, well in the 21st century. So the number three about tooling is natively, thanks to the tool, maximize the metrics of 1 and 2 of mindset and process framework, and then having the power of making reporting a dashboard. Because this real-time visibility, this is what will make me to learn quickly and to update my roadmap, while I cannot put people to report on it and to bug the doers to report. So if you want to judge if I'm working in an environment where I am putting all in hands to thwart, to overcome the organizational legacy and to succeed and to achieve success in my transformation, ask yourself this: is my environment a growth mindset? Is my framework enabling delivery of incremental value, learning quickly, and updating the roadmap frequently, once a month, or why not twice a month? Then, is my tooling enabling the previous metrics plus make dashboard make reporting a dashboard and not an activity? So these are the questions that I should try to answer when I want to make sure that I am handling well all the generic aspects of the organizational legacy. Okay, so all this falls into my first point that I want to present to you as a framework, which is the organizational transformation. I will move on for the second one. Before I just have a reminder on this slide. So working all together, since it's a continuous improvement process, makes it a virtuous loop. It's not like a one-shot implementation. I need to have this 1, 2, 3 working together and this tool, the 3, feeding up 1 and 2 in order to keep on improving. So this is a very virtuous loop. We want to look at it as a dynamic thing. What might look as a growth mindset practice today would not look like it is one maybe in 2 months. So this continuous feedback loop between those 3 large chapters of organizational impediment is something that we need to be aware of, because it's a virtuous loop. So back to our major topic, we were speaking about twin legacy. The organizational one is the one we just spoke about. Let us move on to the technology one. I promised to have half of the session in presentation and half of it in questions. So I guess I'm still good in timing. So the second part is the technology legacy. Again, on the facing the technology, when we answer the question how, want to tackle one single principle, we need to be able to build, measure, learn continuously. And here's become fuzzy, because I'm speaking about technology, right? So what is it that can be so framework can be universal? First, we need to understand the why. Why am I speaking about technology transformation. And the first ban that we need to have is there is no IT for IT. One of a big retailer to whom I was directing recently an agile transformation told me once when we were speaking about refactoring subject, oh, these one we can tag them IT for IT. Well, there is no IT for IT. Imagine you have your budget on a roadmap for next year called IT for IT. I can secure that this will be the first budget to be stricken off when we try to reduce cost. There is no IT for IT. It cannot be there is IT for IT. There is always a real business goal behind it. At least four of them are always here. Accelerate time to market, reduce total cost of ownership, comply with security, and benefit from new tech like moving to cloud. Okay, so those four business benefits, we need to link them directly to our technology transformation, not the organizational, not the business related, it's the technology related. Why? Because as we're gonna see, the metrics they want to measure will contribute to better time to market, better total cost of ownership, complying with regulation quickly, and moving on to new technologies that enable many more business benefits. Okay, and this is not all business benefits, and depending on our environment, we'll find more. But those four, TTM, TCO, regulation, and new capabilities, we can find them all the way. We can relate any IT transformation initiative to one or more of those four business improvements. Okay, so this is the why of the technology transformation. Now, what do you want to measure? So what is tricky? What are we going to measure? Okay, in growth mindset, in people, in mindset, you told me to measure how much I have growth mindset. In process, you told me to measure basically the agility, the business agility overall. In by measuring again frequent delivery, by measuring ability to change the roadmap and quick learning. And in the tool, you told me to measure how much the tool is contributing to those two and how much does it spare me reporting time. Fine. Now, when we speak about technology, what do I need to measure? There are basically three families when you measure. I personally, as an agilist, I don't know your profile, but you will tell me later on. As an agilist, I was always facing the number one chapter, which is organizational. So my frustration, and here's maybe a bit do, doing some echo for what Padma explained. In my frustration in my first, when I was tackling the organizational legacy, is that when it does not come with a technology transformation, I was very limited in the business benefits. I I could have pushed people toward a growth mindset, implemented a wonderful business agility framework, and tooled it up with a customized in-house tooling to make reporting a dashboard and not activity. However, I could still face a major problem. The technology itself is obsolete. The technology itself is not invested in. It has technical debt. It has impossibility to update a feature. I even spoke to Padma yesterday about one example um, I faced recently, which was in the same company, two different teams with two different technology. One feature could take 4 months to implement, and the second could take 1 week or 10 days. Same feature, same company, same smart people. However, technology legacy prevented team one to deliver quickly. Remember, we need to deliver quickly, and made team two deliver in 4 months. With team one to deliver quickly and team two deliver in 4 months. So it's about technology legacy. Well, what to measure then? For us, even if we're not geeks or software architect, we need always to understand that there are three parts to need to be tackled in technology transformation. The in-house quality or in-house code health, the third-party component vulnerability, many rare software solutions do not have third component, right? And those third component have vulnerabilities. When I spoke in the first item about source in-house source code, it means the code that we develop in-house. Okay, it has some code related best practices that need to be verified in order to check its quality. When it's come to third party, the second element in this slide, the third party components are not in our hands when in-house. We need to monitor them. We need to monitor what are the CVEs, the common vulnerability and exposures. They are known, published. What are the license users limitation that I might be violating? It will cost me money. And I need to monitor and to know what's the difference in the version that my own software is using or relying on with respect to the latest version, because it might create an aging effect. Okay, so this second thing I need to measure it too. A third I need to measure is my readiness to move to disruptive technology like the cloud computing technology. There are some elements I need to measure in order to see, am I ready to move to cloud? You know, probably the hype now, move to cloud, fine. But how much am I ready? And you see, if we look at those, we find that it's really technical. It's really technology. And the difficulty, if we can elaborate a build measure plan for all three, we can quickly think, so this is the next slide, the how. We can quickly think about, okay, if I know the business impact, remember the 4 business improvement we mentioned? If I remember that I need to link my application portfolio, my technology portfolio, and I do a mapping from the business, fine. Then second step, I would want to rate those 3 chapters of the previous slide for each application. So the in-house, the third party, and my cloud readiness. Fine. The third step, so this is a 7-step roadmap. The third step would be to have, okay, now that I know where are my weaknesses, I need to evaluate the efforts that I would need to do. The fourth step of my roadmap, I need to prioritize where to start. Well, of course, it would be with respect to which application, to which business impact I'm looking for more, and of course to efforts or complexity. And the 5, I want to know, okay, now that I know where to start, based on what up-to-date technology blueprint, what aid, what architecture blueprint can I use for my transformation? And 6, I don't want it to repeat. I don't want to fall back into the situation. So how do I monitor in real time? Uh, so I want to prevent the future technical debt, and I want to monitor in real time. So those are the 7-step roadmap. When I look at it, spoken like I do, it's a build, measure, learn process. It's easy. Yeah. Imagine you have 2,500 application in a retail company or a payment industry. Well, who can do this job? What real time can I do? So that's why I did this near 7. I put this guy like very sweating hard, because it's no task a human being or human department can manage. It's evolving so far. It's not the one-shot exercise. So here again, we fall into this 21st century aid that we should have, which is tooling. Okay, so this roadmap, we are very aware that technology transformation is a must, because there is no companies that do not have obsolete technology. 5 years old technology is obsolete today. So this continuous need for keeping up with best technology that is lower to maintain, quicker to go live, um, better for user experience, this need will keep improving, will keep coming in. So having this 7-step roadmap is not a one-shot thing that we need to do. We need to do it with the right tooling. Okay, I'm not advertising any kind of tooling in here, so I won't go into details which tool are available. The good thing is there is a way, and the way is to implement the 7-step roadmap or any modification that start with a business impact and end up with monitoring in real time our our gaps towards those business impacts. Again, business impacts, no IT for IT. So I did good in timing, right? Right, Valish?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh, I think we are
Okay,
like,
so we have two takeaways. Okay, let me wrap up. Two takeaways. We have two hurdles, two family of hurdles. One is organizational and two is technology. Inside the organizational, we have a one, two, three people, process, tools. For people, the metric is growth mindset. For process, three basic metrics: frequent delivery of value, quick learning, and changing the roadmap, ability to change the roadmap. And for the tooling, it need to enable one and two, plus to make reporting a dashboard and not an activity. Fine, this is the organizational takeaway. For the technology takeaway, well, we need to apply a build, measure, learn with an automation of the 7-step roadmap, effective roadmap. We need to start with the business impact of my application portfolio to do whatever I need to do and to do it in real time, thanks to real time monitoring. So those are the two takeaways of my quick presentation. And remember, because I mentioned this branding name of hurdles, hurdles wouldn't have been called hurdles if there is not a way to get over them. So yes, there's always a way to get over those two family of hurdles or twin hurdles. Okay, I'm looking forward for your question, and I hope I could have answered some of your interrogations.
Absolutely, Michelle. I'm sure more questions are coming up, and we already have. I personally had a question. We talk about twin legacy. Is there a priority between the two of them? Is
Yeah,
what do we do? Which one could be a priority? Like, will it be the organization a
yeah.
priority, or will it be
uh,
the technology
Padma,
a priority?
this is a very nice question because for me, I was not innocent by doing the one and two. Okay, one is organization, two is technology. We cannot start by two before one. Both
So
of
the
them
priority is very
must.
clear here that it has to be organized.
Yes. So one and two, one is organizational, two is technology, but doesn't mean with one is good enough. It's not good enough with one. So that's a tricky part. And personally, I've been achieving, doing my best, and working with great people on achieving one. And often I failed with the two because I did not have empowerment, authorization, bandwidths as a consultant, resources, means to achieve the two. And the two of them will give us the title of this meeting, Business Agility. It's the two of them. We cannot do one without two or two without one. And inside one, we cannot do three without two or two without one. Inside the one, people, process, tools. So this is the way it's numbering in my slides is meaningful actually.
Question from the audience. One is, where do we start mindset? Like, we speak so much about the mindset transformation, mindset change, and people. Where does it start? At the top of the organization, at the bottom, or we start everything together?
Oh, if I stopped pretending that I know the truth about absolute answer about this. I've faced bottom up and tops up both, and sometimes it both failed and sometimes both succeeded. Okay, what's what's good is if it starts from top, the challenge is to make the adherence in the bottom because it's starting from top is sponsorship. When we have sponsorship, it really empowers everything. I was many times in situation where I did not have sponsorship, but I had to earn it by a pilot, so from top up, and then the sponsorship came, then I could deploy. Okay, so it's like egg and chicken thing. We need to have sponsorship at some point. Should I start without sponsorship? Yes, I should start. It's my challenge. Otherwise, it will be too easy. It's my challenge. Go a pilot, do it, make it work, measure the metrics that show business benefits, and then you'll earn top sponsorship. If you do all this and you don't earn sponsorship, then yes, it might be a red alert that we need to quit this project, or maybe it's not going to happen. But this egg and chicken, the virtuous loop, can start from bottom. It's always good to have sponsorship, but we don't have it. We need to have a plan to earn it. Maybe an example on this, because we are here also to exchange our experience. There was a tool called when I used to work for a fintech as a directing Agile Center of Excellence. Um, there was a tool for our customers, retail customer, that is a reporting tool. It's called global reporting. It could tell us at the end of the day how much transactions they did through contactless, how much through wire transfer, how much through in cash, how much through American Express, how much through Visa, etc. So this tool used to have a release once every year. And the last release, it took them 18 months to do it. They fired the project manager, of course, and then they started to think about something else, and I was consulted for bringing in agility. Okay, so the head of this product did not believe in any point in what I was speaking about quick feedback loop and small increment and small delivery of value. So I had to took a pilot plan to do it and to deliver the release in the 6 weeks, so 3 sprints time. So this guy became my first sponsor because I linked it directly to what I was mentioning before, time to market. And time to market is a business value. I didn't want to hear about Scrum, agility, safe, business agility, something. I mean, those words do not mean for him. What he wanted actually is to hear about, well, you bring me an improvement in time to market. And then he sponsored and we transformed the rest of the company. So what would be the next question?
Preventing future technical debt through proactive alert system. Can you please elaborate on this? One of the participants would like to know if I add a redundant function, we have an alert. So can it be automated? How does that actually work?
Well, yes, I don't want to spend much in details why I'm not an expert in this, but what I've faced, what I've learned from my experience is that there are tools that enable this. I've had very good experience with CAST tool, C-A-S-T. Actually, CAST tool almost enable all the 7 steps that I've presented. So, and this is something why I dare presenting this is because I know it can happen. It can be implemented. So it's good to know that we have to implement effective roadmap from 1 to 7, and there are tool behind it. They can do it. So yes, monitoring the technical depth in the sense of all the metrics I mentioned when I spoke about technology. Which are those metrics? Yes, there are tools on the market that they can do it.
Sheila, can you go back to that 7 step slide that you walked through? There are a couple of things. Yeah. So map the business impact of the whole portfolio of the applications. Um, how does that? Because each business application and the whole portfolio will have different impacts. If I look at retail, where I also come from, I'm from a retail background right now, consulting with the retail. Supply chain will have a different impact, while payment solutions will have a different impact compared to the checkout and cart and other things. So, how do we map and how do we align these business impacts in a coalition, like to make the transformation have a common vision?
Yeah, it's a tough question, but it's yours.
It's mine, yeah, because I come from retail, so I had the question for myself.
Yeah. Okay. So tricky part in here is not at all a tooling. The tricky part is value stream mapping. Okay. So the value stream map, when we say, as you know, value stream map, is because we have a business process, and business process can be, as you said, supply chain or any other business process. And this business process has to be value stream. So when we have the value stream of this business process, we know step by step from the input to the output and all the systems that are impacted. Then we can tag those systems as being on the critical path from time to market. So there is a missing element between what this business process do and the tool itself, which we need to identify. And this is what I say map the business impact. There is something like total cost of ownership, time to market, regulation that need to be tagged on the system that are underlying this business process. So the value stream, which is the techniques that enable us to trace the value for any business process and to map the systems, the IT systems that exist, we should enrich it with those um, business impact, like time to market, total cost of ownership, um, security requirements, and cloud readiness or cloud computing. So when we map those, we can visualize that, hey, this system is the one that cannot make it to the cloud. That's why the number two would be to rate health, vulnerability, and cloud readiness with respect to those systems and to respect to the business impact that was mapped. We're not anymore speaking systems equal. No, all systems are not equal. Some of them are really critical for business, for the required business impact. If we care about time to market, we would like to give time to market a high coefficients and see which system are impacting my time to market in the supply chain. And if those system rate of health, vulnerability, and cloud readiness are low, they have a big gap, this is where I need to start. Could I
Thank you.
answer, Padma?
Yeah.
Okay,
Value stream mapping we also use, but yeah,
of course,
doing it the
of course.
right, doing it the right way is the most essential thing, and aligning it. I was
Yeah,
also having a question with the pandemic, Michelle. Given that we saw through, it's been a year and a half, so it's almost we have almost done with a year of the whole thing and seeing things for the second time, right? Second term in this year. Uh, I want to hear about your experience of helping the clients in this pandemic time. What's been your experience like? Where did the organizations panic the most? Um, that you think, as a transformation leaders, we should be focusing on that even without a pandemic, right? So, what's
yeah.
been your experience on this, specifically
Uh,
with the pandemic coming in?
my experience is really where transformation was happening and there was awareness about the one to three of the organizational and the one to three of the technology. Unfortunately, I should say, I haven't witnessed both in the same time in the same organization, both endeavors of transformation. I go back to this. So unfortunately, I haven't witnessed a complete transformation that can deal in a very aligned manner between organizational and technology. Unfortunately, I haven't witnessed this. However, when I was in doing this organizational one for a big retailer, what helped us really a lot, and we almost did not feel the power, the problems of working from homes and for the impediment was a tooling that was adapted for one and two. So we felt that we didn't lose because we were out of office, thanks to the tooling that was in place. And the tooling, I'm not speaking about Microsoft Teams or Google Meet or WebEx. I'm really speaking about the fact that having real-time monitoring, measuring real-time, and getting that feedback loop, build, measure, learn loop. So this maybe pushed us today to think about uh, making reporting a dashboard and not a tooling, and not sorry, and not an activity. So make reporting a dashboard and not an activity. So what helped us, in my experience during those years, was really when we on the chapters, because we did not achieve it all the way, on the subjects where we made reporting a dashboard and not a tooling, and this was give us a great boost. But again, it cannot be there without one on two, without mindset and process.
That readiness is the first start with. There is another question from the audience. What is your advice to people building a product regarding the timelines to start considering the after sales support process and tools? Designing the code to make maintenance and support much more effective. When should they start, and what will be your, as a transformation coach, what will be your input for
Oh,
that?
yeah, this is a very precise question. Indeed, let me go back to the best where we speak about it. Actually, it's in-house source code health. It enters into first, and this is a very good question because okay, what we're saying is uh, that our and maybe yeah, when we're saying here is that our changeability, readability of our code is a must for the after sales. So again, the in-house source code should be has a lot of matrix. I mentioned maybe three of them, but it's not easy. So they are matrix and they are tools that detect this. So first we need to detect our legacy to see where's the problem, build a roadmap to change it, and then, and maybe here's a question of the participant, and then we need to include, and this is a precise answer, we need to include readability in this case, definition of done in our user story. Okay, so when we're building a product, we're building a bunch of user stories. When we're building a user story, it has a definition of done. Well, a definition of done should not anymore be fuzzy. If we know how much we will be suffering from lack of readability, we need to have a certain level of readability, acceptance criteria for readability, well defined when I move my user story from WIP, work in progress, to done. I hope I could answer this question. Yes, no, maybe.
Oh, hello, Padma. We can't hear you.
Okay. No, no. I again got disconnected. I don't know. Today there is a little bit of a power outage in our area, and that's also kind of impacting my internet connectivity. I'm so sorry about that. There is a maintenance. We have no power since 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I think that's also kind of impacting my internet connectivity. I'm sorry.
Okay, no
So
problem.
yeah, sorry, Michelle, I probably missed the answer to that. That was a very good question. I think I'll probably have to go back to the recording and listen to your answer.
Okay.
You were talking, you've spoken a little bit on metrics, and that's kind of a favorite topic of mine too. Not because we want to monitor people on saying, hey, here you are, but it helps us to see where we are and where we want to be next. So from that perspective, I want to ask you, what are your favorite metrics that you think really makes a difference? Like a handful of metrics, but really makes a difference in the journey of transformation.
Yeah, you want the one or the two chapter?
Maybe a couple of your favorites will be good, so I can take some notes on that.
Yeah, actually, I mentioned them in here. These are my favorites. Growth mindset. And growth mindset has like 7 or 8 sub uh, behaviors. So this is, you can look at them, look it up very quickly. Then when we speak about business agility, we need to have this in place. Whatever methodology or framework we're using, we have to make sure that we can measure how fast we're delivering incremental value, how much we're learning quickly, and how much we're updating our roadmap, how frequently we're updating our roadmap. So those are the three. And of course, we want to see how much people are wasting time reporting. I mean, this should not exist. Really, it should not exist. So these are on the organization. On this technology, I really want to. It's already a synthetic. My matrix are already synthetic. So it's my metrics. So we're speaking about 7 metrics in technology. The reliability, changeability, simplicity. Then we have the CVEs, the common vulnerabilities, the license issues, and so are two of them on license issues. And on the cloud computing, containerization is the most important matrix. So 7 metrics in technology transformation, um, one something around 5 in organizational, and that's it. It's not much.
That's really handful, I can say now. Yeah. Uh, Michelle, I also had a question from your experience as a transformation um, driver and director. Where has been the maximum pushback on the transformation? Where, like, is it the top of the organization, it's the middle management, or the newcomers, or the foundational layers of the organization? Where do you see a lot of pushback saying we are already doing great? I don't think we need a transformation. That kind of an attitude.
I've seen it so much, so many times, and basically by everyone. The only people that, and these are my favorite people, I'm not trying to segregate, but the only people that embraced transformation very quickly are the dev people, dev in a large sense, because they did not change. I mean, they always wanted this. It made their life easier. Small is beautiful is another slogan. So what are we asking the dev? The dev, we are asking him to increase agility and then to develop small chunks. That's what he wants. He wants to develop small chunks. So I can say very easily who were the best people embracing in general, right? Not judging. In general, the best people embracing this transformation are tech people. They, I mean, they somehow induced it. Um, the most difficult one, and I'm sorry if some participant have this role, the most difficult one was people who were enrolled in project management offices that were used the old-fashioned way. I mean, those people resisted the most because they felt that they're losing their jobs. I even had a very good colleague of mine. She came to me one day. And we appreciated each other. She told me, if we apply what you want to apply, we lose our jobs. And by we, she meant mine too. I said, we transform our job. So the difficulty is not the people actually because they are bad people or whatever. The difficulty is we often forget to think ahead of time of transforming the jobs of the people. Of course, if there is a project management officers who all day takes info from project managers, from software developers, from QA tester, from business stakeholders, compiles them in a PowerPoint and present it to a steering committee. If it's a full-time job, of course, when I tell him I need to make reporting a dashboard and not an activity, he will feel that he's losing his job. So my mistake is that I need to transform his own job before showing it how to transform. So it's not about the people only. It is about the people, right? But it's not because they are bad or good people. It's because they feel threatened by this transformation and they feel uncertain. So we need, as organization and as consultant, to think ahead and to know, to anticipate this behavior and to know how we're gonna transform the job of those people. And I'm too French in this. It's not firing people, right? People who fire something else. But I'm in French way. I know that we don't fire people. We're not supposed to. So it's not about firing people. It's about transforming because those people has a lot of value to become uh, change catalyst and to have transformed jobs that will bring more value to their companies.
It resonates so much with my experience as well, Michelle. Like, I mean, the project management office, the middle layer, which has been doing a lot of project and program management activities, they have been. I think this will be my last question in the interest of time. Uh, as a transformation consultant and coach, uh, what type of psychological safety do you expect an organization to provide even before a transformation starts so that people don't feel threatened, like the way she came back and said, if I do what you tell me to do, I'll be fired, right? So that's a psychological safety where people don't feel safe to do things freely or experiment with some of the new practices. uh, what would be your one or two starting point inputs before the transformation starts so that people feel very safe with the journey, not threatened with the journey? Because this has been my experience. A lot of organizations start transformation, and when we enter as coaches, especially in my own experience in large organizations, there's a large number of people who are feeling a lot more insecure with the whole thing than feeling great about the transformation, than looking at it as an opportunity to learn, looking at as an opportunity or a loss of role or a job. So, what will be your as a coach? What will be your starting or a input to the senior folks in this case?
Yeah. It's a real deal. I've been facing the same, Padma. It's a real deal, and till today in practices we are not because I mean, as a consultant we hired on a mission statement, and the mission statement never mentions this. Whereas it is a prerequisite, and again, the prerequisite is to really list all the jobs, all the real job desks of those people, and before tackling any kind of transformation, tackle the future job of those people. What will be after the transformation is done? So project the job desk 2.0 or 3.0. Project it for those people because it exists. The problem exists and we need to find the solution. The problem exists when we disrupt with technology, when we disrupt with agility. It means people need to change their job, transform their job. So all this transformation, it's only synthetic job because we're mentioning it. So all this transformation, if we say you wanted to uh, write for 3 or 4 months functional specs and submit functional specs, and now we're telling them, no, actually you do everything in one sprint. Well, all this means a change in job. We all faced a, a problem with finding the right product owners, right? So we don't have product owners because we change people and say, okay, now we create a product owner role that he does it all, and nobody has ever done product owner before. So this is one example to say, so we need to think about roles, not only transforming profiles, about roles, and to say, okay, this is a role that have a specific job to do in my future transformation. How should I map it to the existing people? And I might change whatever Scrum, Safe, Discipline Agile recommend. I will change. I'm a consultant. I have to because I will change it according to people. I will not like take it or leave it for people. No, I want to make it people sponsoring my change and become change agent. So yes, where I should start is with current job of those people and for me to be able to clearly project the future of it. I used to have a product manager, what not product manager, sorry, a PMO, project manager officer, um, working for this fintech payment company, and I had to transform him into kind of a continuous delivery lead. So it was clear for him before we started. And he was from then on, he was on my side. He was on the side of transforming because he saw it really where he is doing right now or what we would do in 6 or 1 year time, in 6 months or 1 year time. So this is where to start. If you ask me where I start there. Before speaking about everything I mentioned in this presentation, be a good consultant. Let's be a good consultant and project based on the job desk on each. Okay, PMO is a wide name. What do you do in daily task in PMO? What would it be when we transform? And what elements I can give you for you to be able, because he doesn't have those competencies and skills, he will earn them. Part of the transformation is to make them um, uh, handle this transformation by transforming their competencies and skills.
I mean, that sounds so practical, Michelle. Thank you so much for that. And in the interest of time, I will probably not be able to take any questions. I'm sure our participants will connect with you probably on the LinkedIn. We have shared your profile as well.
Yeah,
So
most
I'm
welcome.
sure, yeah, they will. And probably they may get in touch with you one on one for some of the questions we could not answer. So thank you so much for taking out your time this morning and on a weekend morning, that too,
Was
in a
great.
beautiful place like Washington, D.C., and not going for a walk or a run, but spending
I
time with
am, no
us in the
worries.
morning.
No worries, I am.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
And thanks, Ramesh, for connecting us with Michelle. This was one of the really practical session, I would say. A lot of people talk, I mean, not a lot, a few of the people talk a lot on theory, and we really have no clue how to apply it. But this comes so much from your practical experience that it sounds so much practical. I will say a practical knowledge sharing session. And wish you a very happy weekend, whatever is left of from now on. Enjoy the weekend and more
Thank
often
you.
in the business agility meetups in the coming months. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.